Well, hey, this is Tony, and welcome to Coolest Life. Today, I'm doing a project. It's an RV project. This is Project Day. Anytime that if you have an RV, and especially if you're a full-time RVer like this guy is, there are days you just need to set aside to do projects. And my project today is a big one. It is a hot water heater. That one. I've never done this before, but it shouldn't be too hard. I've seen lots of YouTube videos about it. And if you're seeing this YouTube video, things probably turned out okay. But this is just one of the things you do when you're out here trying to live the coolest life. Well, a lot of things can happen while you're out on the road. One of them for me was this hot water heater. It just it'd come on, then it wouldn't come on, then it would fire up because it runs on propane and runs on electric. It just wouldn't heat the water. Every now and then I'd get some water that was somewhat warm, and then it would just not get hot. So I thought to myself, do I replace circuit boards and start replacing a lot of this stuff? And I did a little bit. One of the first things I did was I replaced the thermostat. Hope I get this thing turned off. This piece here is called the thermostat. Right here. You can buy these at most stores. This spring should be pushing against this a little better. The plate here wasn't really very well designed, but it's going to push on the side of this tank, and that's going to tell you exactly how hot it is inside. This is an aluminum tank, so that this being an aluminum tank, if you had a steel tank, this plug here would be for your anode rod. But if it's an aluminum tank, you don't need an anode rod. Those things don't rust inside. Most of your home tanks are steel that are in your regular house, your what we call sticks and bricks, or bricks and sticks, depending on who you are. But what it'll do is it's a self-deprecating rod, so basically it dissolves instead of the inside of your tank dissolving. But that's the case for most home tanks. So if you've got a home, you haven't checked your anode rod in a while, it's been over a year or so, just replace it. They're like 45 bucks. They'll take you 10 minutes. A lot of them actually come with the knob you need. Anyway, enough of home stuff. So I'm going to take all these screws out here, around here. I'm not going to do a fast forward of you doing that because, well, of you seeing that, because all it is this and me going around all these screws. So I'm going to take that thing out, and then I got to get up underneath and get you some video of that and show you exactly what mine looks like, some of the rust issues I'm having. And this, of course, here has some rust issues because he had a water leak at one time, the owner previous to me, because this is a used unit. And then I'm going to do the disconnect, show you how I'm going to slide it out and slide the new one in, because I've got it inside. So let's take a look at the new one to make sure I've got all the connections that I need. Here is where my gas connection is going to go to. So it's going to go through this hole right here. It's going to go through that hole, and then it's going to hook into here. So I got to disconnect that off the other one, and I know to go ahead and leave it so that it's ready to go into this one. This is an adjuster. I'll be adjusting it once I get everything on. Back behind here is going to be my thermostats. Back behind this little mushy thing, electrical hookups, my exhaust for my furnace, and this is the over. I guess it's an overpressure regulator, I guess you could say, is what this is, because you should have an air pocket in the top of it when you get everything fully charged. You get air, you get water in it, so you're going to fill the water up to about there inside, and you'll know when it's full because this will start leaking out. This, of course, is my control board where I was having problems with the last one, and this is our burner, so we'll be seeing flame inside of it, hopefully, or so is the goal when we get it running. And let's go look at the back real quick. The back is looking like this. This is our hot water outlet, and this is our cold water inlet, and this is going to be all of our electrical hookups. And I got all my pieces for it and got to disconnect them properly, so we'll be ready to go. So now let's go underneath. But before we go underneath, I needed to remove this grommet here. I just basically cut it out with a pair of pliers and got it out of there. It's a rubber piece. I also disconnected this, so it's all nice and loose. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. I actually took this and turn it this way, is how it comes off of there. So it should wiggle out of there just fine. There it is. Turn my gas off inside, of course. I should I should say I turned my gas off at the tank, and then I ran my, I bled the lines by starting the stovetop and letting it burn until it didn't burn no more, and so it was empty. But that's how you'll do that. And got these screws loose all the way around. I got some of these new plates. The new one's going to slide in here, and then this is actually going to bend up, and then the screw holes should match up. Well, that's what the back side looks like. I've got this wire here, this big yellow wire here, I may end up having to cut. However, there's so much slack in here that I should be able to slide this out and have some room to do it out there and not be laying down on the ground down here. Also, I was able to disconnect this wire here. I actually don't know exactly where it goes to, but I'm sure I'll figure it out once I pull this all out. I disconnected this hose here, which was my water out hose. I don't know how long it was, but this other one here goes to my water in. It looks like it's got enough slack that I should be able to slide this all the way out and then work on it out there to finish disconnecting and connect the other one up. But this is a trap door is what this is underneath my RV that allows me access, and I will reseal this with some good tape and make sure, because I don't want any water splashing up in there or any critters getting up in there, that's for sure. Well, once you disconnect all these screws, it should slide out relatively easy with some little jiggling. But now is the time, once you do get this out, is to make sure that nothing is, anything in there needs to be repaired. One thing you also need to make sure is this, as you pull it out, needs to go in at the same time you pull this out, because this is actually part of connected to the RV, not connected to your hot water heater. Well, I finally got it apart. Good news and bad news. Well, actually, that's all good news. This is the back side of the one I just destroyed. So all I really needed was these three wires here, which is coming out of my coming out of the hole. Because this has actually got one of these pigtail things, not really pigtail, but adapters. But on my new one, this was actually going inside of my box already. So all I need to do is hook up my three wires to my box, which of course is your neutral, your hot, and your ground. So I'm going to get this behemoth out of here. And what I did use is, as I pulled this out, I realized that the height of that was only about 4 inches higher than my box that my water heater came in. And it is a water heater, not a hot water heater, because it doesn't heat hot water, it makes water hot. So my water heater is it came in, so it made a great stand. As I pulled it out, I was able to disconnect my lower drain and everything, and of course these wires here, I was able to get to those. So that was good. So now I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to clean this box up a little bit, and then I'm going to grab that one and put it on top of my box over here, and then try to hook everything up before I slide it inside. I don't know if I can hook everything up, but I'm going to try to hook most of it up, and be right back. There was one thing I did do that I didn't record, and that is I drained my water heater because I didn't want to have to pick it up, as it was heavy. If it was going to be difficult coming out of the side of the RV, I wanted it to be as easy as possible, or should I say, in this case, as light as possible. So I did drain the water heater before I did any of this, just to make sure it was going to be light as I pulled it out, because picking them up, they're pretty light. They're only 20 pounds. I mean, they're not much. Anyway, that was my next step there. Just want to make sure I mention that. Drain the water heater before you start any of this. Correction. This newer one actually did have some wires coming out of it. Looks like this. So I had to take this one here and detach it from the old one, which is there, and reattach it to this new one here, so that it would match up. So I did need to use those top wires. Next stage is to connect these three to these three, and then I should be able to I'm gonna put some plumber's tape on this one and on this one, which these also I had to take off the old one. These are right angles, because what you have is your hoses that come out of the RV are female, and the connectors that go on here are also female. So I actually got these right angles off of my old one, and put them on here. Put plumber's tape on them too. I actually have plumber's putty, and I'm not sold on either one either way. I just use what I got. I don't have any plumber's putty, but I do have plumber's tape. I think plumber's putty is really used for hot stuff if you're going to have a lot of heat. This is a water heater, so who knows? If I end up getting a leak, I guess I'll pull the thing back out and I'll put putty back in it. But hoping all my connections work and we get this thing slid back in there. Well, it's the next day. I'm kidding. It's not really the next day. Same day. Got everything hooked up. Got the new one slid in there, and what happened right there was I was filling it up, and I was making sure the water rose all the way up to this spigot here thing, and then I closed the spigot, so it should stop here momentarily, and it should be ready to test on the way out. And that's what I wanted to remind you is once you start putting water in this, make sure you're letting this air out so that it has a chance to breathe. And it's got a little lever inside of it, so if it ever does overflow a little bit, it will actually let up and let water drain out of this all by itself. So it's not going to overflow at any time and create too much pressure inside of it. But next step. Well, now it's the water tank is full. I have turned on my propane. I purged the propane system by lighting a light at my stove, and then I turned it off, and then I came back out here and I hit my button so that I've got propane going to my gas water heater. And good news, we have flame. I must have done something right, is all I could say. Flame looks good. You want a nice blue flame. You don't want let me get my trusty tool. I'll just show us what I'm doing here. What I'm doing here is this is a vent. So if you're at higher altitudes, you need more air. If you're lower altitudes, you need less air. And watch the you see the flame there? Can you see the flame there? I don't know. But if you close this up, that flame turns orange. Also, you can tell by it changed tones just a little bit. So you want that flame to be blue. So I'm going to adjust this thing to make sure we're going to stay blue through this whole thing. But I should have hot water here before long. And next thing I'll test is I'll turn off the propane and turn on the electric to make sure my electric portion of it works. And obviously, if you're out and you've got full hookups or at least power, you want to run on electric. Let the electric heat your water and maintain it. However, if it's been out for a while, there's nothing faster to heat up water than propane. There's just not. If you're paying for both electric and propane, run it on propane, because you can't heat water cheaper than on natural gas. You just can't, even in your own home. That's why so many of them are gas water heaters, not electric, is because it's cheaper to run on natural gas. Even with gas prices like they are, it's still cheaper per cubic meter that you have inside of your water heater. So what I got to do next? I have got to test it one more time, and I'm going to seal up this area here with some good caulk. I've got some sealant, especially across the top, because I want water running here. I don't mind if it runs out, as long as it doesn't run there. I'm going to double check my seals. I got to take this portion here. These actually bend outwards. This one's going to bend up. This one's going to bend to the side. I'm going to screw back in here, and then I'll put my little hooks. My little hooks here. These are going to go in these pieces here. That's what's going to hook to my. Let me just show you this, because this is kind of unusual. This is going to go. Actually, I think this is this one. This is going to go right there. It's going to go underneath this back piece, and it's going to go underneath this piece, and it's going to slide this way. You slide it in, and the next one you clip and essentially do the same thing, but you're going to do it. You're going to do it backwards at this end, and that's going to hold your door into place, and hopefully you'll get a nice tight seal around that door. I'm going to make sure I don't have any kind of extra space up here with this one, like I had with the last one. But next step. Well, before I screwed all these screws back in, I tested everything. Flamed up good. It's actually on electric right now running because, well, I'm at an RV park with full hookup, so that's what you do is you run full electric. But it's gonna work just fine. And that's how you install one of these. This is Dometic hot water water heaters to make your water hot. It can be a pain in the butt. Be sure you got your tools. Make sure you get it emptied before you start moving it around. Make sure you have some extra screws. I had to put some extra screws across the bottom because some others not looking in such good shape. In fact, I'll show you one of them. It rests a little bit. Can you see that? Yeah, that's not good, is it? You see how it's a little deformed right there? Yeah, oh, there you go. Yeah, it's time to replace that one. So I did. But that's what you need to do when you put the water heater in here. And this is a little view hole that you see if it's flaming up or not. Of course, it's not flaming up now because I'm not running it on propane. But I'll let you go. Be sure to like and subscribe. Send this to your friends if they want to know exactly how difficult one of these is to do. It's a day job. Probably took me a total of, I don't know, 3 hours off and on. Granted, I took some breaks and I didn't want to overwork myself and all that. But I didn't really have to have anything extra except for to put the wiring back together. So I had those little nubs and tape it all. So I taped it all because I don't want to go back in there if I get some water splashed up in there. I don't want to have any issues. I extra secured everything. But again, like and subscribe, and I'm gonna let you go because you are now leaving the coolest life.